G'day guys, JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, the Australian Diaz brother. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years, this guy has been on one hell of a run. Now he is fighting for the UFC welterweight championship of the world very soon. Some say he's been sent here to restore order and excitement to that division and save it from boring grapplers. We also sit down with Ben Vickers. This is Jack's head coach from Scrappy MMA, Perth, Western Australia. He's also one half of the powerhouse known as Eternal MMA. Really the only organisation in Australia worth talking about. They've had quite a few fighters move on from there into the UFC. They do so much for the Australian MMA scene. It's, you know, they are the good guys. Super cool chat with these two. It's interesting to see their relationship between each other. They go back a long way. We hear some classic stories about some Australian MMA fights, some good banter, have a bit of a laugh. I got to do a few rounds with Della over the week while I was there. Thankfully, it was only jiu-jitsu. If it was striking, I think I would be covered in bruises, leaking from the ear and dribbling out of my mouth. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. I certainly got a real kick out of sitting down with these two right at the top of their game. And yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy this episode of A Quick Razz.
That's it.
All right, killer. I do one of these at the start.
Oi.
Boys, how we doing?
Bloody marvellous, mate.
Yeah.
Poor weather in Windang. We have lucked out on the weather, but it's a bit fucked now.
Yeah, I was able to get sunburn yesterday, but today it's just need a wetsuit out there, eh?
Yeah.
Do you get trench foot, not sunburn today?
So, man, what a crazy ride you guys have had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. We've just been, working at it. I started training with Ben when I was 16. Me and my brother walked in, did a intro class, and we've pretty much just been at it ever since. We clicked right away.
Yeah, no shit. That's cool though that you guys have been together since the start.
Yeah, I think in this sport you need to really trust the people that you're working with, and I think you can only build that trust over time and going through stuff together. So we had our share of adversity at the start. Obviously we didn't get off to the greatest of starts, and since then, we made the famous pact to win 10 in a row, and then we've never looked back.
Yeah, that's unreal. And I feel as a big brother, I hate it when you see the little brothers fucking making a name for himself in this game. So tell me some stories maybe about you and Josh growing up, mate, where maybe the brothers used to throw down or something.
Yeah, we used to, pretty much since I was since I can remember, must have been 5 years old. Me and Josh would ride. We got into WWE, so we'd wrestle most days. Pretty much every day we would at some point we'd just wrestle, and it'd start off we'd just fuck around doing some WWE moves, sort of running to a WWE match. I'd get up, he gets up, but then most of those sessions at some point it would turn into a fist fight somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had tried something he wasn't ready for, and then we'd just ended up scrapping, and then we'd just finish on a scrap, and then we'd just go our separate ways for the rest of the day.
And did you ever have to get between them in the gym when they first started?
Not at all. Josh and Jack have the most amazing brotherly relationship.
I used to have that. Now it just tortures me. Yeah.
And they Josh is so proud of Jack, and is really keen to help Jack achieve his dreams, and it's nice to see, man, because there's no hint of jealousy, there's no hint of any of that stuff. Josh is just just a legend, you know, and he just really wants Jack to succeed. You know, he wants the team to succeed. He wants all the boys in the gym to succeed. Yeah, I don't really feel like Josh thinks about himself that much anymore. So no, I've never at all. Like the boys are perfect at. They spar hard. They know exactly the level to go. They know when to go harder, when to stop, and they never hurt each other. It's pretty crazy to watch.
Me and Craig used to get banned from training with each other because we'd be doing jiu-jitsu and one of us would do something a little bit harder and then it would turn into a fist fight. So we would every time, and we would get banned from being able to train together. And unfortunately now I have nothing to offer him on the mats at all, as you got to witness earlier.
Oh, it's pretty close, mate.
Yeah, pretty close. The closest thing was our matching outfit. That was about it.
Joshua has, like, he still can get the better of me on any given day, I would say. And Ben would probably agree with that.
Josh is fucking good, mate.
Yeah.
Josh is really talented. You know, they're very similar people, right? So the athletic gifts and the stuff that Josh has that too. He just has a slightly different mentality to Jack, which didn't lend itself necessarily to sport fighting as well as Jack's did. But technically, you know, there's a hair's breadth between them, if that, you know.
Well, we'd always hear stories about the Della brothers terrorising the Australian MMA scene. So it's fucking cool to see where you've ended up now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was always sort of like looking up to Josh for sure. He's a bit of a role model. Like he started fighting, and it was when he fought Priscus Foganolo in Tasmania.
Oh shit, did he fight Priscus?
Yeah, it was his first
in his
fight.
debut.
Fuck, Priscus is an absolute animal,
It was a 4-man tournament and Josh entered. It was pretty last minute as well, right?
Yeah. I'll never forget how it went down. Like the 4-man tournament, it was Priscus, Matt Eland, Josh, and who's the other dude? It was like
that's it.
fuck, I can't remember his name. But anyway, they did the draw, and I remember Matt coming over to Josh because Josh got Priscus.
Yep.
And Matt Eland came over to Josh and went, "Oh, soften him up for me." And Josh went, "I'm going to knock the cunt out. What are you talking about?" Like they had just written Josh off straight away. And Josh sort of went out there and actually had some success in the first round, and he was doing really well. And then he slipped on a head kick, and Priscus got top position. And you know how good Priscus is from there. It was kind of only going to go one way.
Trapped underneath him when I've been down at HTC. And I've also seen these giant stones that he lifts outside, and I'm like, yep, that makes a lot of sense.
He's got he's been on a special diet for quite some time. I feel so.
Tough.
I remember watching that K chart, and I was like, wow, this is sick. Like, I was pretty hooked at that moment. That whole trip was so cool, and everyone was like so high on Priscus, and we didn't really have any idea who he was.
Yeah.
Just
Just rocked up to Tasman to take a head.
I've never seen footage of that fight, but Josh did pretty well at the start. On the feet, he was doing well. It's just obviously Priscus, a lot bigger, more experienced, was able to hold him down.
What weight would that have been at?
It was 84.
Oh, well,
84, and Priscus would have cut down, and Josh wouldn't have cut much.
I think Priscus was a late entry into the tournament as well, because it was supposed to be another one of the boys from HTC, and then he got injured.
Oh, yeah.
So they chucked Priscus in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the other fella is. But anyway, that was that just summed up who Josh is.
I wrestled Priscus in like a wrestling comp. It was a few years after, and Priscus even said, "He's like, your brother was the toughest guy before."
In his pro debut,
That's insane. Yeah. I mean, you guys have been around Aussie MMA. I mean, Mr. One half of Eternal, right? Some of I feel like we've had some like really good waves in that Aussie scene, and to see where I was only talking to Malarkey before, and I'm like, when me and Craig got into it, the first pay-per-view we ever bought was Tim Sylvia versus Randy Couture, and there was a couple of Pride events that nerd managed to stream somehow off a Japanese website, but like back then we were like, man, how cool would it be if we had an Aussie UFC fighter and then, you know, what was it, Elvis and maybe Parosh, I reckon, were the first two. And like to see it now.
Kyle Noak.
Kyle Noak, yeah. It always cracks me up that he was Steve Irwin's bodyguard and they used to grapple together apparently, eh?
And George Shotaropoulos.
George,
That's a bit later, right?
his match with Joe Stevenson was so fucking good. But like to see where everyone is now, especially from your spot in the sport, Ben, like it must be a trip for you. Like you guys are the UFC feeder. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, look, I just think the standard in this country is so high because the pool of fighters is so small. You can't dodge people. Well, you can, and some people do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you have to fight the best guys. Otherwise, you're not going to have anyone to fight. So really, in this country, the cream rises to the top. And I think what Australia's been able to achieve in the last 5 or 6 years in the UFC, just with the level of talent that we're putting into the UFC and the way they're able to be successful and operate at that high level is a real testament to the sport at its grassroots level in this country. And pound for pound, I think it's the best country in the UFC. If you look at population sizes and athletes actually doing well in the UFC, I think Australia and New Zealand clearly tops that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember Whittaker getting, I think he got the title first and then Volks. Like that was fucking crazy,
Was it Izzy first, then Volk?
Well, Izzy got it off Rob, basically. Was that right?
Yeah, I reckon.
And then, I don't know, I think Izzy got it before Volk.
But either way.
Yeah. I never would have thought, and that's not a shot on any, you know, just from when we first got into it, I was like, fuck, I wonder if there ever will be. And now you're bloody fighting for a title coming up in, 6 weeks, did you say?
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to be, it'd be pretty surreal for me just to have my name next to like Volk and Robert. It's pretty sick. Even just coming out here and watching Volk train, like, I guess the reason I came out number one is because I'm a fan of Volk, just to be able to get the opportunity to watch him do work is, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, he's a fucking absolute animal, eh?
Yeah, he's a real, like a workhorse, and he just, exudes like confidence, championship mentality, so it's cool to see.
It's cool too, like the size, I'm not sure how big Scrappy is, like, but, you know, to see that little gym that Joe has, and I think he said he's had it for over 20 years, and, you know, you see all these huge gyms in the States, and then you come here and you see this, and it's just a small room, absolute killers. Like, you know, you boys come over, it's like there wouldn't be, that'd be one of the craziest rooms in the world at the moment. Like
100%.
Yeah.
And a good team, like for me, people say MMA isn't a team sport, and I strongly disagree. And at Scrappy, we've built a team. Like, we all care for one another, we all root for one another, we all want people to succeed, and everyone looks after each other in training. You know, there's none of the ego of like, oh, I want to be the guy in the gym and all that kind of stuff. And it's exactly the same here. You know, what a great team they've built, like real talented fighters across all levels, and just the good camaraderie. And, you know, today Volk did a training session and he was kind of the only one training, but there was 30 people in the gym screaming at him.
Yeah, my ears were ringing.
Well, we were trying to do some technique in the corner, and it was very hard to. But that's just the way they get behind each other, and it's really, really cool to see.
Good banter and good vibes. I think that.
Yeah.
Even when I was at Absolute, when Craig and Giles were on their run to ADCC 2017, it's the same vibe. Like, you can feel something special in the room.
Yeah, for sure. It's sick.
I don't know if you can say good banter if Simon Carson's involved, mate.
Well, you know, Simon Carson, actually, I sparred him one night at Absolute, and he didn't lock the cage door, and he teeped me, and I almost went flying out the cage door. And then that same session, we were doing sit-ups after, and he was hitting me in the stomach with the kick shield. And as he starts talking to someone, straight in the dick with the kick shield while I'm trying to do sit-ups. So yeah, Carson, look, he's a bloody legend of a bloke, but yeah, he did me dirty that night, twice actually. I assume that is because people are meaner to me because of Craig being such a prick to everybody. But they take it out on me.
But Absolute is a great example of another gym like that. You know,
Yeah,
it's a good
for sure.
team. Like they're all around each other. They all driving each other on. Like we had a few of the boys on Eternal the other week, and they all come. Big team comes down. You know, they're supporting each other, and they've got a lot of good athletes across the board, and the standard's really high. And that team is sort of driving, helping raise the standards. Like all the good teams bring the standard up of the sport, and that's what we need. You know?
It makes it so much easier to come in and train too. Like, you know, we got a real good vibe down at M16, and some of the banter maybe that I say causes Miles some stress from time to time. But you know, and you have that someone like Miles, or you know, like you in the gym, sort of like leading the pack. It's such a good place to be training. You know, hard rounds, especially when you're seeing everybody put in the work.
Yeah, and Miles obviously leading from the front, you know, had his fight career very successful across multiple disciplines, you know, Thai, then MMA, then grappling, boxing. You know, the man's done it all.
He's the Adelaide Bruce Lee. Justin Lockjaw might be the only man that has more grey hair than Miles. But yeah, so.
While we're on Miles,
yeah,
I reckon he should fight on Eternal 100. What do you reckon?
Mate, I think he should, So I watched him kick the absolute shit out of everybody the other night. He even passed my guard for the first time the other night. I didn't let him, but I took his back straight away off some absolute bullshit that I did. It still hurts him, I think, at the moment. I might send him the clip again just to remind him after this. But the itch is still there. I think we need to get him on there.
Yeah, well, let's do it. You can start the campaign, and then I'll send him a couple of messages. Not that he responds to messages very well on the old phone, but we'll pester him.
If you ever try, the only time me and Miles ever speak on the phone is when there's something bad has happened. So if we're like trying to book a match, or we've booked a match and someone pulls out. So if I see him calling, or he sees me calling, it's always like, oh fuck, what now?
So he's that guy in your phone, the one you don't ever want to see.
You never want to see Miles have to call you. But yeah, great dude. I think he should do it.
How old is Miles?
Miles, he looks close to 50, but he'd be he might be like 37, 38 now, I think. Yeah, and he still moves. His fucking grappling is so good now. And we're going to try and get him a super fight on our next grappling show. So,
He's not making featherweight anymore, though?
No, he's too much into his red meat and shoulder exercises now. Yeah, he'll come in, do some shoulder exercises just for the pump, and then squeeze into a rash guard. But no, I think, you heard it here first. Miles Simpson's back at Eternal 100.
Yeah.
And
opponent TBC.
Maybe I'll fight him.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I can hit him from the other side of the cage. Eternal 100 is going to be huge, man. 100 events, that's mental.
It's pretty mad, to think that we've got to that point. I had a fighter on Eternal 1.
Yeah, no shit.
All those years ago, so... Yeah, it's really cool. It's going to be in HBF Stadium as well, so we've got the big venue, and yeah, we're going to do some things on that show and sort of try and blow everyone out the water with that show.
Yeah, that's it.
We want OGs, so any OGs out there that want to get back on or fancy coming out of retirement, we want to do some OG.
Miles Simpson.
Miles Simpson.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get Ryan. Ryan Gray's pretty heavy since having a kid now as well. So maybe the trilogy could be on.
Yeah, for sure. When did you start on Eternal?
I had a couple of interclub fights. I fought on a local Muay Thai MMA show for an amateur fight, but then first pro fight would have been Eternal. Yeah, then most fights have been Eternal. Yeah,
just one before Zuffa. Yeah, Cage Warriors fight.
Cage Warriors.
We've seen a lot of events come and go over the years, and you guys have just been on the grind.
Yeah.
It's no different to training, right? I think business is the same. It's just you've got to be consistent and just keep doing it. If you back the product, and you just got to keep working at it. Like nothing happens overnight. You know, there might be a few super lucky people out there that had an overnight success, but most things take a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of effort before you even know what you're doing, right? And you've got to learn as you're going along too. And every time you improve, it's the furthest you've ever been. So new challenges, new obstacles.
Doing them the night before the Australian UFC events is such a fucking good thing. We were talking, you said the guys are actually there watching, and just what a weekend of MMA for people flying in.
Yeah, we make it like a big Australian MMA weekend, turn that city into the MMA hub for the weekend, and we do get Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, Hunter Campbell is cage side in Sydney for the whole of the main card. Yeah. So it is like now a real opportunity for guys to have an audition in front of the people they want to impress and get their names known at the regional level.
Well, I know Joe Lopez was dribbling some shit saying, what was it, Wollongong, what's that fight night?
I've never heard of it.
No, you don't even know the name, eh? You can barely
understand. A bit like Bilal, you know?
Yeah.
Forgot the name.
You can barely understand Joe at the best of times, but the Eternal is definitely the UFC feeder, so...
Well, we just put 6 people, 5, we can't announce the 6 yet, but 5 of the 6 people just selected from this region to go into Road to UFC came through Eternal. So
yeah. It's a no-brainer, really, to fight on Eternal, eh?
You'd think.
Yeah. With that, obviously that Harry Webb, I can't think of the guy's, his opponent's
Kevin
name.
Cophamel.
Yeah, dude, that fight was, like, I was sending it to fellas at work that they only watch the UFC, and I was like, you have to watch this.
That was probably the best live fight I reckon I've seen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like that is up there, right?
And you look at the story though before it. So Harry's supposed to fight Dave. Sorry, Dave. I know we keep going on about it, and Dave's a fucking legend, and he's killing it at welterweight. So, but obviously Dave missed weight or wasn't going to make weight. Pulled from the fight, and then Kev lost his opponent. Had started eating. He said to me, Kev, he said, I pushed my. When I gave him the call in the morning, he was just about to tuck into some food.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
And it was the morning of the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
So he's pushed the bowl to one side, rang his coach. Coach is keen, so he's in the sauna, cutting a little bit of weight.
Wow.
So he was due to fight at featherweight against someone else who ended up going up a weight and fighting Harry Webb for the title.
Yeah.
Coming very close to winning it.
Yeah.
Very close.
Amazing. Just amazing. Kev's an inspiration.
You could have given that fight either way, to be fair.
A lot of people think Kev won.
Yeah.
I think the crowd was very much on Kev's side as well, so that made some white people think he won, but it was
Harry had some fans there, like because of the UFC weekend and stuff like that. There was a lot of out-of-state people in town, and
fuck, they must have been impressed with watching that fight.
Oh, it was just unbelievable, man.
Are there any other matches from the Eternal days that either one of you?
We were talking about the other day. Remember Callum Potter and BJ
Bland.
Oh shit!
Fight.
Callum Potter's he's a mad cunt.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got Dimps and Josh Coon. That was UFC last fight of the year a couple of years ago. Any fight Josh Coon's been in, probably. Is up there. Any fight Dimps has been in, it's probably up there as well. So, there's been some epic fights over the years.
Josh Della, Dan Curry.
That was a sick fight. You got involved in that one a bit, big note, didn't you?
Yeah.
Got us in all sorts of trouble.
Controversial.
Big cat. Dan Curry.
Matt Jones wanted that one scratched off as a no contest. He said 2 cheats don't cancel each other out.
Yeah, we all heard about that back in Adelaide.
Far out.
And
Matt Dockrell put it on. Big Nut. Jack ran away from Matt Dockrell in the back. He threw a water bottle at him and Jack took off.
I'd fucking run away too. Some of the boys back home were like, put the gloves on and do some sparring with Jack. And I'm like, I've already got enough brain damage, classic. There's a lot of classic storylines with some of the shit that's gone on over the years between, you know, I know in jiu-jitsu especially, but I'm sure that's the same with MMA.
Yeah, you definitely get these rivalries and weird shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, you've been around for 12, 13 years, there's always some stories and there's always some beef. But I do find in this country everyone's kind of sportsmanlike for the most part.
Yes,
which is, as a promoter, you kind of want a bit of the needly stuff and all that. You know, you don't want it to overspill into anything sort of terrible, but like for a bit of promotion, it's always good to have.
You want a little bit of Connor energy.
At least at the
much.
weigh-ins, like, you don't have to love each other all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Get amongst it, boys.
You want to see some pushing?
Careful,
Yeah.
be careful.
No pushing. Don't touch each other. It's always me and Cam that end up doing the security, no matter how much security we hire.
Yeah, no shit.
I feel like security guards are like, well, I don't want to get involved in this shit. These guys can actually fight.
It'd be pretty intimidating to have to be security for these fighters.
Yeah.
One of them said to me at the last, I was briefing him before the last weigh-ins, and he was like, I feel like a lifeguard at the Olympic swimming competition.
Yeah, no shit, you would, eh?
And then it kicked off and he did nothing. So he obviously did feel like that.
That's fucking brilliant. Unreal way. With all your training leading up to Bilal, like, you and Craig were working on some stuff today.
Yeah.
With your wrestling, I know Pablo very well. You're like the jiu-jitsu guy there. Yeah. He's a crafty bastard. You work like so a lot of wrestling and like getting up and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of getting up, wrestling, getting up, trying to avoid the floor would be nice, but he's pretty forward pressure. I'd expect I probably will hit the deck at some point, but just being comfortable, be able to keep pushing, be able to get back to my feet, and then also still having the pop to try and land some shots. So it's just, pretty repetitive fighting wrestlers, but it's good. I think we believe Bilal is beatable for sure, and it's just about not giving up on yourself, not giving up on the position, keep trying to get back to the feet.
I feel a lot of people get lulled into Bilal's sort of slow, tight game. Like he just wants to hold you in one spot for as long as he can, and then
he's a fighter. If you were going to describe him, it'd be like the human Xanax form. Like, I can't sleep. Chuck on a Bilal fight, and then I'm out.
Yeah, not many finishes, just sort of dragging it out.
But I think he's not to be underestimated either. But it's like.
Yeah.
You can say as much as you want about Bilal, but he's beat everybody that he's faced in the last God knows how long. His 12-fight win streak. You can't underestimate that guy. Whatever he looks like, he's obviously feels different. So I think you have to expect better than what you see. So we're training for better than what we see on the TV, if that makes sense. It has been a bit of a process trying to watch a lot of Bilal tape because, like you say, you do fall asleep a lot. So I've started taking notes, and when I fall asleep, I go back to the last
just
note.
Scribbles down. I do appreciate that style as a grappler with the control, because it is not the most exciting thing to watch, but I feel like I can get a lot out of watching guys that compete like that to try and...
I feel like GSP also copped a bit of flack back in the day for being a bit boring.
Oh, I hated him, yeah.
At least he had like moments where he wasn't, on his come up, GSP was so exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
it gets hard when you're defending the belt.
And I think...
But Bilal's just been boring from the...
I think as well with Bilal, he doesn't carry a huge jiu-jitsu threat. It's a control threat. It's a getting rode out threat. No one wants to be blanketed for 25 minutes, and I believe that is Bilal's goal.
Almost a bit Hikata Arona style, where you just get on top and smother like a wet blanket, eh?
But despite the nonsense of him saying he's going to stand with Jack and show his Canelo hands, like we embrace
you can see
that.
straight through that shit-eating grin, eh?
I feel like I reckon he'll dip the toes. He'll try and do a bit of striking, but you'd think he'll revert back to his most direct route to victory, which is
smart. Right? That's what he should do. I'd be very disappointed. I wouldn't, because but like you expect that version of Bilal to come. If he wants to stand up and have a stand-up fight, happy fucking days. But that's not what we expect. No, he can say it as many times as he wants. I think he's going to be shooting early and often. And that's what we're preparing for. And if it turns out a different way, great. If you want to stand in Jack's wheelhouse,
fuck that.
And trade fucking happy days. But
well, one thing I noticed, like we had a round the other day, just grappling, thank God, because I can still talk normally. But the way when you're on like moving around, the way you roll and stuff, like that finish in the Gilbert Burns fight, how you just Granby rolled out of it, and then like it makes a lot of sense. You're very natural at like being able to roll out of stuff, and I feel like that's a very hard thing for grapplers to pick up.
Yeah, I've always tried to try and pick like unorthodox stuff that sort of throws grapplers off. And we've had a good training room, so I've always tried, like I've seen stuff, and I've always had the trust of my opponent, like my partners and stuff, to just try stuff new. I don't really mind about losing. I've always been into trying different stuff. But
with that Gilbert Burns fight, because you got your arm, was it a kick that broke?
Yeah, I don't know exactly one, but it was, I think it probably was a kick. If you threw a fair few kicks.
Hard too.
Hard sort of kick straight into the arm. So it was one of the kicks that snapped my ulnar. I didn't really feel like...
That's what I was going to ask. You didn't...
Not really. It was
that's
like...
fucking crazy,
I guess it was just like adrenaline and then focus. Sort of just blocked it out, but then as soon as the fight was over, it just started singing. Like the pain was just pretty sore.
That makes it so much like that knee was fucking perfectly timed.
It was. Yeah, I still remember that. Like getting back to my feet and then must just like flash through my head that thinking he was going to shoot again. So I just came straight up the middle, and as soon as I threw it and then he shot, I like even before it landed, I was like, yeah, this is definitely going to happen.
Yes, yeah, you were just flowing,
Yeah, and then I just went for it. It was that feeling when you sort of know, it's like a cool feeling in the fight when you sort of can tell that it's over and you just got to unload, go for it.
You have some savage ground and pound, that's for sure. Like watching a carpenter swing a hammer.
He even put the broken arm in a few times.
Yeah, that's when I can't remember like if you said it in the post-fight interview or if it just came out on the news, like, you know, on the MMA sites after. And I was like, oh my God, he was hitting with a fucking broken arm.
And he never mentioned it in the corner. There was no talk of the arm. Like, I didn't know until I had a bit of an incident towards the end of Jack's fight with the commission. And I came in and I didn't see Jack post-fight until... he was with Dan about to get his arm raised, so I came over just to say congratulations and stuff, and then Jack just goes to me, I think my arm's broken.
Was it the arm he raised?
No, thank God.
Just a dude in the airport raised your broken arm, mate.
Man, the TSA guy on the way home was an app. I was in a bit of pain. I was like holding my bags. I had like my arm cast, and he wasn't having a bar of it. He thought I had something hidden in my arm.
He made him take the whole cast off. What? And then he made him hold his arm out like this while he searched his fucking arm.
Like, was he a Gilbert Burns fan? Was he?
I don't know.
He was just a cunt, mate.
Yeah, no shit.
He looked like DC.
Yeah. the TSA, it's another level over there, eh?
Yeah.
When I went to Texas to visit Craig, they pulled me aside, and they were questioning everything. And I didn't have the head tat then or anything, so I looked a little bit more normal. But yeah, it was funny. They were asking all these questions, and you know, I remember they said, how much money have you got here? And I said, like, a few grand. And they're like, that's not enough for 3 weeks. And I pulled my brother's rich, so I should be all right, eh? And then, I tried to rinse Craig for as much as I could out of that trip.
They were rough.
Yeah, it was, the airports there sucked. It's a long way, man. It's a long way as well to get over there from Perth.
It's a long way anywhere from Perth, really.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty isolated.
Do you guys, like, you've come over here for some training. Is there anywhere else that you guys go and visit, or is it just all in-house at Scrappy?
Most of our training's in-house.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah,
we've got a big team, you know, and we've got other welterweights. You know, we've got Khan Deatu, who's a really good up-and-coming welterweight. Jack Becker, who's obviously a lightweight, but he's big. And
that's my favourite Australian MMA fighter.
Yeah,
because he beat Craig.
So we've got all Josh Della, obviously. Got a young amateur, Lawrence, who's a welterweight, Lawrence Whitesmith. So there's plenty of people for Jack to spar with, plenty of different body types, plenty of different styles. And then we've got wrestlers. We've got a big wrestling coach, a former South African international wrestler.
Oh shit!
And he's heavy. He's like a heavyweight or a light heavyweight. So
Good jiu-jitsu crew as well.
Braden, Pablo.
Run a good jiu-jitsu program.
I got a lot of time for Pablo. He's very slick on the ground.
Yeah, very
I reckon last time we rolled, he fucking got me with a go-go Pilata too, the bastard. And I'm like, we've flown you here and you're going to do this to me? Like,
Yeah, Pablo's awesome.
Fuck, he was good in MMA too. Like,
Only man to beat Quillen Salkill.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Subbed him, but actually,
You can watch it. That's great.
it's a real nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch that.
Single arm rear naked to finish.
Covering the mouth like most for a bit.
The gas mask.
Oh really?
It was really.
Yeah.
But some beautiful flows through grappling in MMA, and that was always Pab's goal with MMA, was to prove that his jiu-jitsu would work with strikes and against someone that was trying to like do violence to him. You know, he was always dead keen to test his black belt in a realish scenario. You know?
We had him over for and I'll never forget. I thought he's fucking crazy. He came over for a super fight, and the guy that he was facing would have been, must have been around 100 kilos. And Pablo was cutting weight for an MMA fight a few weeks later. I don't know. This probably caused you stress, but
Nah.
I remember he came around to my house and he bought a fucking lettuce, and he was like watching his carbs and shit. Has this match with this big fella, and not a lot happened in it. Pablo got the win.
Actually, yeah.
The other guy was a bit. The guy's a peanut, but he was a bit salty about it over the decision, and like Pablo won. So then Pablo and him just went into. This is when we used to do the comp at the gym. He just went into the other room and they threw down again. So we've got the super fights on in one room, and Pablo and this other fella are in the other room.
How did the second round go?
Oh, Pablo beat him, but I was like, you're a fuck. And then he's cutting weight, and then within 2 weeks he was fighting MMA.
Yeah.
I was like, you fucking animal.
That would have likely been for the Quillen fight too.
Oh wow. Yeah, no
he hasn't
shit.
fought MMA for a long time.
Yeah.
That'll be his last fight, Quillen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one to go out on, eh?
Yeah, it's a good scalp to have.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I never forget at the end of the first round in that fight, Quillen landed a big shot on Pabs, and the whole thing was, don't get caught up in his game, don't get wound up, don't like indulge too much in the strike. And then I just remember Pabs like chasing him with strikes, which you'd never expect.
No, he's such a nice guy.
Mild, down to earth sort of dude. Just he lost it.
And like I said, he's the only guy. I've got the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, but I can't pull them off. People think I look like a lunatic, but Pablo pulls them off.
I don't know where they get that impression from.
Yeah. So obviously you've got the camp, right? So you're focused on that, right? But as far as Eternal goes, what's on the in the future lined up for that, besides Miles Simpson's return?
Miles Simpson's return's a big one. You know, it's part of the company strategy is to bring Miles back into the fold. But just keep delivering. Like, what makes me proudest about Eternal is we've never been backed by anyone. We've never had any money. We've always put fucking top quality fights, centre cage, and that's what we want to continue doing. You know, you can have all the bells and whistles like some of these other promotions have, mentioning no names. But if you don't put good fights, centre cage, you don't evenly match the fights, and you prop it all towards the guys that are selling tickets or the guys that are from your gym, people are going to see through it in the end, and you don't get the quality Kevin, Harry matchups when you're fucking matchmaking shonky. So just continue to put on the best fights that Australia wants to see, Australia and New Zealand wants to see, and to get more and more people to fulfill their dreams like Jack has. And go to the UFC and have a great career. I think Cam keeps a pretty good record of like results of Eternal fighters that have gone into the UFC. And I think it's something crazy like 28-4 or something like that. The Eternal champions or people that have had more than 70% of their pro fights in Eternal have amassed. So it proves that although it's not always popular, you know, we kill off a lot of our big ticket sellers, which isn't great for business. But when it's the right time to fight the right person, we make that fight happen. And I think we just want to continue to do that. And get Miles Simpson back on. Did we mention it?
Get Miles Simpson back on. That's what this is all about. But there you go. Stop being a dickhead. Fight for Eternal.
Come on, Miles.
No, that wasn't even directed at Miles. I'm just saying, like, guys, stop being dickheads. Get into Eternal, and you'll make it to the UFC if you're actually any good. But No, it's a trip. It's fucking wild being down here and getting to do some. I feel like I'm just cannon fodder at the moment. But we got your head arm triangle.
Yeah, we're going to do some. Look out, Perth! I'm coming back with a nice head arm triangle.
Yeah, maybe a few wrist locks too. We can have.
I do like a wrist lock.
Yeah, everybody loves a wrist lock.
Dirty wrist lock. Yeah.
But we'll keep it short and sweet, guys.
Just thank you
for thank you for your time, boys.
Cheers, Ed.
Cheers,
Legend.
man. Thanks for that. Sick.
Cheers, boys.